This is the second to last episode before season 3 of this channel is done. And for today's episode, it's going to be a big one. We're looking over the NFL season and awarding the players and the coaches who are the most deserving of these 7 awards. We're looking at the Coach of the Year, the Comeback Player of the Year, the Defensive and Offensive Rookie of the Year, the Defensive and the Offensive Player of the Year, and of course, the Most Valuable Player Award. So we're going to look over those 7 awards, and then next week we're going to get on to the Super Bowl. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Who would you give these awards to? And yeah, let's get into today's episode. It's going to be a really fun one. First things first, I got both my conference championship games correct. I did choose New England. I thought it would have been a lot bigger, but then again, the snowstorm did affect a lot. And I was right about the game being very close in the NFC championship game. Just got the score wrong. But it was a good conference championship week. And now we are going to be looking at Super Bowl 60 next week between New England and Seattle. So I hope you guys are excited for that. But let's get into the awards. The first award we're going to be looking over is the Coach of the Year. This is going to be awarded to the most outstanding coach who has brought their team all the way to the playoffs. And really what I'm looking at is 2 things. One, defying the odds, being, you can choose that however you may, being able to work around all the problems throughout the year. And I'm also going to take a really close look at the coaches that took their teams from low, below average, to really high and above. And it could be first-year coaches. I mean, we got 2 first-year coaches on this list for their respective teams. We have a second-year coach, and we have a coach who's been around their team for a while. So let's get into the nominees first. The 4th place nominee for me is Kyle Shanahan of the San Francisco 49ers. They went 6-11 last year and did way better, 12-5 this year, got to the divisional round of the playoffs before losing to Seattle in the big way that they did. The reason why I give Kyle Shanahan the nod is think about the amount of injuries San Francisco suffered this year. You had half the year where Brock Purdy wasn't available, and same deal with George Kittle, who's also now going to be out potentially for next year because of that brutal injury. You also have injuries with Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, and throughout the year you didn't have Brandon Ayuk, and at times you lost Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. The only player who really managed to stay healthy throughout the year of big significance is Christian McCaffrey and somewhat Kyle Juszczyk, but that's about it. And yet he was able to get this team to the playoffs despite that same problem happening last year and only able to go 6-11. So you got to give Shanahan a lot of credit. You can look at all the efficiencies. Really, I'm just focusing on the injuries and the fact he was able to overcome that and get his team to the playoffs. So shout out to Kyle Shanahan. The 3rd place coach on my list is Ben Johnson for the Chicago Bears. Now, everybody knows about Chicago and just how much of a cluster that situation is. They haven't been to the playoffs since 2020 with Mitch Trubisky, and really, this team was in desperate need of a step forward. You got Caleb Williams, you got your 1st overall pick. You built relatively good around him. I mean, offensively, DeAndre Swift, having Roma Dunze, you drafted him in the same draft. You also had DJ Moore, you had Cole Kmet, you also got Loveland. So you had these pieces. The question is, could you put it together? Well, last year they went 5-12. This year they went 11-6. They got 2nd place, got to the divisional round where they were knocked out in overtime by the LA Rams. So you got to give Ben Johnson a lot of credit. There's another thing that I wanted to pay attention for Ben Johnson. That's the offensive efficiency. You had 9th overall. The big kicker is 3rd place in all of the NFL when it comes to rushing efficiency, and they did a very good job there, and they had one of the best rush teams in all of the NFL. You gotta give Ben Johnson a lot of credit in general. He brought a culture to a team that desperately needed it. The 2nd place head coach, and really the top honorable mention, and this one was really close, but I'm going to give it to Mike Macdonald. And the reason why I didn't give him the Coach of the Year is because last year in his first year they went 10-7, missed the playoffs. They went 14-3. They really had a 4-game jump, and the coach that he was competing with had a bigger jump than that. Where Mike Macdonald really shines, first of all, he got his team to the Super Bowl. Sam Darnold was able to have another great year because everybody thought, well, from Minnesota, oh, he did great there. They have a great system. He's going to be bad in Seattle. That's what I thought at first. And then Seattle goes on to have the season that they did. They had the best defensive efficiency in all of football. Really, a lot of that is with the work of the draft. Wari comes to mind, but they had so many great playmakers overall on that defense that really pushed them all the way through. Even special teams, having Rashid Shaheed, he is a problem, and that was a good pickup midway through the year. He just made a lot of great moves, built that team super well, a great running game. JSN had the year of his life, and of course, they're in the big game. So that's a big case for him. But with that being said, My pick for Coach of the Year, the one who beat out Mike Macdonald, is Mike Vrabel. And the reason why I give Vrabel, the New England Patriots head coach, the nod, last year they went 4-13. This year they went 14-3. That's a 10-game jump. Drake May, an MVP candidate, doesn't have a lot to deal with on offense. You really got a great running game in Trevion Henderson, Ramondre Stevenson, and your best wide receiver, Stephon Diggs, coming off of an injury. He didn't have a lot of weapons to deal with. Hunter Henry was probably one of his better weapons all year long for Drake May. Even with that, the culture that New England had for all those years I've been watching football with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, it feels like it came back alive. And New England is back in the Super Bowl for the first time since the Super Bowl 53 season 7 years ago. That is a very short, I mean extremely short, rebuild period. And last year that team had nothing. Even when Drake May started, you saw the promise, but really they couldn't get anything going. You put in Mike Vrabel and it's just like everything changed. What he brought from the Tennessee Titans, he brought to the New England Patriots, being a player there for New England and now a coach. It's just a feel-good story that I just cannot ignore. The biggest leap from last year, the fact they're in the Super Bowl, the fact that the second-year player in Drake May, who everybody overlooked, and now he is in the MVP conversation, that is something to behold. So with all of that, my 4 coaches, number 1 for me is Mike Vrabel, that's the winner, but Mike Macdonald, Ben Johnson, and Kyle Shanahan were very deserving of the award. You can also give it to Sean Payton if you'd like, but I just think that these 4 coaches really had some, they had some big jumps this year and a lot to deal with from last season, so you got to give them a lot of credit. But that is the Coach of the Year award. The Comeback Player of the Year had something tragic happened last season. Most likely it's injury, or they just have not been able to take that major step forward. And then in this season, they took that big leap. They came back from whatever it is they suffered with last year, whether it was from injury or poor play, and really turned it around for this year. And there's a lot of good candidates, but there's 4 in specific I want to look over. Number 4 for me, Aiden Hutchinson. I remember watching that Lions-Cowboys games last year and seeing Aiden's injury was horrible. He was having a great year up to that point, and really, if he stayed healthy, there's a chance the Lions could have made it to the Super Bowl. Just a thought. From 5 games to 17 games, looking at this, he had 14.5 sacks in the NFL. That's 4th among all players this year. And then you also have to look, that is his career high as well. With 4 forced fumbles, that's tied for 2nd in the NFL, so you have to give him credit there. He had himself one heck of a season, though the Lions did not make the playoffs. 3rd place for me is somebody who's also being looked at as an MVP candidate, and that is Trevor Lawrence for Jacksonville. Now, what was it for Trevor Lawrence? 10 games last year, did not do super hot. That team was not great last year. And then, of course, Mac Jones played the other games. So he did have a little bit of time missed with injury, not as much as anybody else here. He played 17 games this year, obviously. Got the Jaguars through the playoffs. 4,007 passing yards, though that's his 3rd season with 4,000 passing yards. Though, in the NFL, that's 6th among all quarterbacks. He also had 29 passing touchdowns, which was 5th. He also had 9 rushing touchdowns, which was 2nd, just below Josh Allen. So Trevor Lawrence, obviously, he took a step forward. He also got a lot of great weapons. Brian Thomas Jr., he didn't make that big step forward, but getting Jacoby Myers in the offseason, that was huge. And so Trevor Lawrence, he made that major leap, had the Jaguars win the division, though they lost to Josh Allen and the Bills. But you cannot deny that this year was arguably one of his better years throughout his career. 2022 is a close bit, but I have to give it to Trevor Lawrence. He really did take a major step, and he probably saved a lot of his security for his job. That could be a good thing to look over. 2nd place for me is Dak Prescott. Did not make it to the playoffs, obviously, but Prescott, he missed 9 games last year. He played all 17 this year. In those 17 games, 4,552 passing yards, which was 3rd. He had 30 touchdowns in the air. That's 4th. Really helps that you have both George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. And he had a 70.3 QBR, which was 5th among all quarterbacks. And really, he'd be in the MVP conversation if his team made the postseason. But since they didn't, he's not going to be in that conversation, not even close to it. But those stats are definitely MVP worthy. However, number 1 is Christian McCaffrey, and for good reason. He only played 4 games last year. He played all 17 this year. Was one of the only major Niners to stay healthy throughout the year, which is crazy. 311 carries, that's 2nd place. 1,202 rushing yards, that's 8th place. He also had 924 receiving yards, 1st among all running backs, and 17 total touchdowns, which is 3rd among all running backs. Major leap forward. Again, when Christian McCaffrey is injured, that sucks because it happens very often, but the times when he plays, he's one of the best players in the NFL. And he is definitely deserving of the Comeback Player of the Year for me because, wow, How does he continue to do this? Even some people are talking about MVP conversation, which I don't think is going to happen because they don't really give it to running backs, but still, that's an incredible feat for Christian McCaffrey. So then you look at all the 4 players, McCaffrey, Prescott, Lawrence, and Hutchinson. These 4 are generally like the undisputed for this award, and great for all of them. I can't wait to see what they're able to do next year. If they stay healthy, I think they can take steps forward for sure. But that is the Comeback Player of the Year award. The Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to the most outstanding rookies on the defensive side of the ball. And really, there were just a few picks that were definitely guarantees for this. I had to really scope out who I really wanted to be the 4th person. And in 4th place of this award, I'm giving it to Xavier Watt. Maybe that's a Notre Dame bias on my end, but if you look at Xavier Watt's stats, 5 interceptions, that's the most among all rookies, along with 96 total tackles, which is 5th among all rookies, 11 passes defended, tied 1st among all rookies, and he was considered a high Hawk grade player. I have to give it to Atlanta. They really did great in their defense. He's not the only person from the Falcons on this very list, so be patient, Atlanta Falcons fans. But having the secondary that they're starting to build, it's a good direction that I think is going to continue to move there as the offense tends to get better under Kevin Stefanski. I hope that happens because Atlanta can be a real true threat in this entire division for the NFC South, and maybe eventually they'll take that step forward to be a threat in the NFC. And if they keep building their defense the way they are, who knows? This could be very special. 3rd place, Nick Manwari for the Seattle Seahawks. He has really taken on that leadership role, and I saw it against LA. I mean, he was acting like a veteran out there, and I have to give him credit. And he doesn't have the stats to really prove everything. I mean, passes defended, he had the same amount as Xavier Watt. If you look over here, he got 9 tackles for losses. That's tied 3rd among all rookies, along with 1 interception, which is kind of meh. 1 blocked field goal, which is big, and 81 total tackles. So it's not as much as Xavier Watt, but the leadership role, the fact that the Seahawks are really holding on to him for defense and making him the veteran is why he gets the nod over Xavier Watt, but if you wanted to swap it, I can completely understand. 2nd place is James Pierce Jr., another Falcon from that draft class. I gotta give Atlanta credit. Their defense is amazing. It's gonna get there. They're gonna be super tough to deal with in a few years. He had 10.5 sacks. That's the most among all rookies, along with 2 multi-sack games, which is the only rookie to do it. 6 straight games with a sack, and get this, tied 2nd for rookies since 1982. And lastly, 10 tackles for losses. That's 2nd among all rookies. So he has a lot of the details to be the number 1, but a lot of people know who number 1 is going to be. So let's get straight to that. And I believe it's obvious in a lot of people's eyes. It's Carson Schwarzenegger of Cleveland. Really, Cleveland's had a great defense. If their offense could get it together and actually be worth something, they would be such a dominant team. It's the Browns. They somehow managed to mess something up. But with Carson, they definitely did not. Take a look at this. 146 total tackles. That's 1st among all rookies, along with 11 tackle for losses. That's 1st among all rookies again. 2 interceptions from his standpoint, tied 2nd among all rookies. 7 double-digit tackle games. That's 1st among all rookies again. 13 run stuffs. That's high in rookie metrics, and 2.5 sacks. So he didn't play all those games. He only played 16 games this year. He is one strong defender, and the fact that that defense is slowly getting stronger and stronger, I'm very interested to see where they go with the coaching situation, how this team is going to look next year, because this defense ought to be one of the top defenses in the NFL. If they can just get a good offense to go along with that, who knows, that defense could be something very worthy. But this is the class of defensive rookies of the year: Carson Schwarzenegger, James Pierce Jr., Nick Manwari, and Xavier Watt. So as we look at this defensive rookie class, to me, it was stronger than the offensive rookie class, but this is what we got for defensive rookie of the year. Now we got the offensive rookie of the year, which is obviously the flip side of the defensive rookie of the year match, but this is mostly for playmakers and quarterbacks. So I have to say that this class on paper looks strong. Really, to me, it looks very weak, and that's because of the quarterback position being so shallow. However, we do have one quarterback, and that is Jackson Dart. A lot of people would say Cam Ward, and I completely understand. Jackson Dart had 2,272 passing yards, which is 3rd among all quarterbacks, along with 24 total touchdowns, which is 1st among all rookie quarterbacks, 5 interceptions, which is the least among all rookie quarterbacks, 10 games or more, and then you have a 57.6 QBR, which is 1st among all quarterbacks. Cam Ward is another name that could be something special. Tyler Shuck is somebody I said is a hidden gem, and then you got other rookie quarterbacks like Shador Sanders. Can he get something thing going, or are they going to swap back to Dylan Gabriel? Who knows what the next year is going to look like for these rookies, but if I have to give a lot of faith into one of them, it'd probably be Jackson Dart, because of the new coaching, because of the fact that he showed a lot of promise in that first year. I gotta give him so much credit. I loved watching him play. I don't even like the Giants like that. Third place is the only running back on this list, and that is Trevion Henderson of New England. Now, you could argue that Ashton Jeanty statistically was better, but I don't think he had the same impact in the game as Trevion Henderson did. I've seen games where Henderson completely took over. Coached extremely well, by the way. But with Trevion Henderson, 911 rushing yards, which is second among all rookies. He had 10 total touchdowns, which is tied for first among all rookies, 180 carries, third among all rookies, and a 53.6 rush yards per game, third among rookies. And the other running back that I think has to have some consideration for this year is Quinshon Judkins, but like Ashton Jeanty, I thought they didn't have any impact for their team's success, unlike Trevion Henderson, who I think was a major role in that New England offense. So for that's why Henderson is on the list, and the top two picks are both wide receivers. So let's get to that. The thing is, it was really hard to figure out who I wanted to put as the Offensive Rookie of the Year, but I knew it was between these two receivers. Second place, behind the main Offensive Rookie of the Year pick, is Emeka Egbuka. And at the beginning of the year, I thought he was the runaway for Offensive Rookie of the Year, but then his production started to slow down, and I noticed there was a consistency from the other guy throughout the year, really because he was on my fantasy team, so I gotta give it to Emeka Egbuka. He had a very strong year. 63 catches, was the third among rookies. 938 receiving yards, second among rookies. He also had 6 touchdowns this year, 20-plus yard plays, fourth in the NFL, first among all rookies. That's his Creme de la Crop award. 55.2 yards per game, second among rookies. 14.9 YPR, which is first among rookies within 10 games or more. And then he had 335 yards after contact, which is third among rookies. So he was a major role in that Tampa Bay offense, and really he had to take a much big major step because of the Mike Evans injury. I think he could have done better. He showed a lot more promise when Evans was healthy, and then throughout the midway through the year, I didn't see that same impact. And that's why, number one, my personal pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Tyrod McMillan of the Carolina Panthers. This guy was really a pivotal reason why the Panthers offense took a major leap forward and why they were able to get to the playoffs. For me, 70 catches, that's second among all rookies. He had 1,014 receiving yards, I think the only rookie to get over 1,000 yards receptions. And then 7 touchdowns, that's first among all rookies. 17 20-plus yard catches, that's second among all rookies behind Emeka. And then 14.5 YPR, second among all rookies with 10-plus games played or more. And then 59.6 yards per game, first among all rookies. This award was a little bit tough to deal with because you could go in either direction between him and Egbuka, and really I had to piece them all together, and then they were really close with Tyrod McMillan being better statistically, and then I had to think, well, the Panthers got to the playoffs, so that's ultimately why I think that he will ultimately win this award, and because of that, he is my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year. But all of these guys are great picks: McMillan, Egbuka, Henderson, and Dart. I think it was pretty well, and this is the Offensive Rookie of the Year class. And now we have the Defensive Player of the Year, so we're talking all defenders, and really this is a wrap. Well, what we got? Byard at 4th, 7 interceptions, he led first interceptions. Did not do very well in any other statistic, but hey, that's nice. Aiden Hutchinson, 3rd place, 14.5 sacks, 4th. Forced fumbles, tied for 2nd, which is nice, and 1 interception. Nice. Brian Burns, 16.5 sacks, 22 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, or maybe, well, I might have got that stat wrong. I think it's 4 forced fumbles, and then 7 passes defended, which is tied 5th among all linebackers. Really, the award is going to Myles Garrett because he has the NFL record for the most sacks in a single season, 23 sacks. Cleveland's team could have been so much better this year if they were able to figure out that offense, because the defense figured it out. Myles Garrett had himself an incredible year, and this is coming off of his major contract. So really, he played amazing for getting that huge contract, which is something you don't often see from other players. It feels like their skills and talent goes downwards when they get a major contract, but he didn't. He played one of the best years of his career, easily the DPOY. And then you also want to add in 3 forced fumbles and 60 total tackles. I mean, that was an amazing year for Myles Garrett. And among all these 4 players, he's easily the undisputed Defensive Player of the Year if you wanted to talk about something that could be undisputed in this regard. So congratulations to Myles Garrett. This is the Defensive Player of the Year. Now, Offensive Player of the Year is a little bit closer. I would say it's actually a tight race. The first pick for me, as far as fourth place goes for Offensive Player of the Year, goes to James Cook III. He was third in carries, but he had the most rushing yards this year at 1,621 rushing yards. He also led with 95.4 rush yards per game, which is first as well. And then 14 total touchdowns, 5.2 yards per run, which is tied for fourth, and 9 20-plus yard plays, which is tied for fifth, behind Egbuka, surprisingly. And then 9 20-plus yard plays, which was tied for fifth. He's not even the top running back despite having the most rushing yards. For me, the top running back is Bijan Robinson at third, who put up some ridiculous stats. Now, I didn't really decide to highlight the rush yards because he was fourth. He was 1,478 rushing yards, but he had 2,298 total scrimmage yards and all-purpose yards. For scrimmage, that's first. He had the most yards for any offensive player. And then you talk about all-purpose yards, he would be third behind Jameer Dyke and Devontae Turpin. So he had himself one heck of a year. I mean, I'm looking at these stats right now. I'm blown away. The touchdowns, they were whatever. Didn't do too hot in that regard. And really, he was high in stats in so many places, but the fact that he was able to rack up so many yards from both rushing and receiving this year, he's definitely a candidate, and he's only going to get better and better. I would know. He was on my fantasy team. He did super well. Second place was really tough because it was between this person and the Offensive Player of the Year. I give Puka Nacua the second place nod, and his stats, 129 receptions, that's first. 1,715 receiving yards, that's a close second place, along with 107.2 yards per game, which was first. He also had 10 touchdowns, which was tied for sixth. 27 20-yard play, that's tied for first. He's killing it with the stats. And then he's third in yards after contact, which for playing less games than who was at number one, it's very well worthy of an Offensive Player of the Year. But because of the major step forward this guy took, I have to give number one, the Offensive Player of the Year, to Jackson Smith and Jigba, because he was the number 3 for the first 2 years, and then he immediately thrusted into this number 1 role with Sam Darnold as his quarterback. A lot looked like it was going wrong for Seattle, and then they made this major move to make him number 1, and he had himself a year. 119 receptions, that's fourth. 1,793 receiving yards, which was first, along with 105.5 yards per game, which is second. And then the other places that he's first, 27 20-yard plays, which is tied with Puka Nacua at the top. He had 15.1 yards per reception, which was 10th, and he was also tied for 10th in yards after contact. So while Puka led more statistics, the fact that Jackson took this major step forward, was first in receiving yards, and was a pivotal reason why Seattle was number 1 and now going to the Super Bowl, that's why he gets the nod as the Offensive Player of the Year. But as we look out and see all of these players, you can really go with either one, and I wouldn't argue with you. They're that close, but I'm going to give it to JSN, and for the amazing year he has had, that's the Offensive Player of the Year. And then lastly, the most valuable player of the year. And this one is kind of easy towards the top, kind of hard to round out. At number 4, I have Sam Darnold. What a year he had. Now, the stats are not that impressive if you think about MVP caliber players, but the fact that he was able to get his team to the playoffs and be a pivotal role, get his team to the Super Bowl. Look at this, 323 completions, that's 11th. But in that, he also had 67.7 completion percentage, which was tied for 6th among the minimum 10 games or more. And then you have 4,048 passing yards, which was 5th among all quarterbacks. Yeah, I have to lean in and look at this. Got 25 touchdowns, which is tied for 9th, and then a 99.1 rating, which was 11th place. So while the stats are not that amazing for MVP caliber, the fact that this guy continues to push back and play great, get his team to the playoffs, and now he got his team to the Super Bowl, knowing what we knew about him in New York, that's why he has to be, in my opinion, an MVP. But he's not the MVP winner. He's just a candidate. Third place for me is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, we would go back to the stats from earlier, 341 completions, that's 7th, 4,007 passing yards, that's 6th, 29 pass touchdowns, that's 5th, and 38 total touchdowns, by the way. And then you got 359 rush yards, which is his career high. So he had himself a major step forward, and I'd give him the nod over Josh Allen. Josh Allen was another MVP candidate that I just don't agree with because of the inconsistency. At least Trevor Lawrence was getting to a place of consistency, at least towards the end of the year, they were on that major win streak. So you got to give them a lot of credit. And then it comes down to the top two, and I was really going back and forth between who I wanted as the MVP. And of course, the two candidates would be Matthew Stafford and Drake May. And after taking a long thought, putting all the stats next to each other, and just looking at the entire story of the year, my second place pick is Drake May. As much as I love Drake May, I just believe that Stafford had better statistics. But to put them against each other, let's take a look at this. He didn't have a lot of completions, he was 5th, but 72% completion rate, that's first. We also have to look at the QBR, that's first. His rating was also first. He had significantly less touchdowns, 31 touchdowns, 35 total, and that made him 3rd. And he also had 4,394 passing yards, which is top 5. Again, he was really top 5 in many statistics. But then I switch over to Matthew Stafford, 388 completions, that's tied for 3rd, with 4,707 passing yards, that's first, 276.9 yards per game, that's first, 46 touchdowns, that's first, and then QBR, he was 4th, and rating, he was 2nd, so he wasn't that far behind Drake May. And then, you know, people argue, well, Drake May did more with less, and I'm thinking, well, Matthew Stafford also did this at an extremely old age for the NFL, so you're looking at a young and an old guy, and the old guy's still kicking, doing super well, and putting up a monstrous statistical year, which is in many places bigger than Drake May. So that's why I gave Matthew Stafford the nod. But if you gave Drake May the nod, that's fine. I completely understand. I like Drake May too. But I just think that it's going to go down to Stafford because of all of what he was able to do and really the dominance he showed throughout the year, even though Drake May is a player who's going to the Super Bowl. So this is my MVP outlook. Matthew Stafford wins along with Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, and Sam Darnold. Thank you for watching today's episode, and if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. If it sounds like I'm really rushing my speech or have just been struggling talking in this video, I'm very sorry. I had to go get a water midway through, and I was still struggling to talk in this episode, but I thank you guys so much for watching this episode, and my last episode is going to be coming next week, and that's, of course, the Super Bowl episode, and that will be the last episode of Season 3, so I hope you guys are excited for that. Thank you guys so much for an amazing year. I was able to take major step forwards in views, and if the shorts this week were not that great, I'm very sorry. For some reason, CapCut was not working for me, and I had to use Movavi for these edits, which I didn't really want to, but I wanted to get the shorts out in time, and unfortunately, I just couldn't use CapCut in that process. But hopefully, we'll use CapCut for this video and then for other videos. Let's hope that the maintenance finally works. Hope you guys have a great day. Take care, and we'll see you all in the next one, in the final. Peace out.